Hi everybody, Educator Emily here, and happy almost end of February. While it's been short, this month we've been discussing deserts on our social media pages. Both the stereotypical sandy hot ones that we think of when we hear the word desert, and the cold, barren ones on our Arctic poles. When learning about deserts, one of the most common questions people have revolves around the fact that not all deserts are hot and sandy. Like, how is Antarctica, a land full of ice, and thus water, considered a desert? Well, that's the topic of today's video. What on earth makes a desert a desert? National Geographic defines a desert as an area that receives very little precipitation. Thus, temperature aside, the one thing that all deserts have in common is that they're dry or arid. Most experts agree that for an area to be considered a desert, it has to receive less than 25 centimeters or 10 inches of precipitation every year. Deserts can be found on every continent, and despite their harsh conditions, plants, animals, and humans have found ways to thrive in nearly every single one. And despite the image of mirages and sand dunes that often come to mind when we think of the word desert, a desert biome can look like many different things. In fact, there are 5 different types of deserts. The first kind of desert is the one that we think of when we think of the word desert. These are the subtropical deserts, like the Sahara in northern Africa and the Tanami in northern Australia. These deserts can be found between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer, and form as a result of the circulation of warm air around the equator. Near the equator, moist, hot air rises, and as it rises, it cools, forms clouds, and then drops all that moisture onto the lands below, resulting in those lush equatorial tropical rainforests. The air, now dry, circulates from the equator to the north and the south, towards the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer. Here, it descends towards Earth and begins to warm up again. This movement of the air down towards Earth prevents the clouds from forming over these deserts, and thus prevents precipitation from falling. The second type of desert is a coastal desert. These deserts are ones like the Atacama in Chile, or the Namib in southern Africa. These deserts form as a result of cold ocean currents. While these deserts may be blanketed in thick fog that results in cool air over the ocean hitting the warm land, the atmospheric conditions for actual precipitation are never truly present, resulting in a foggy but rainless desert. There are also rain shadow deserts, and these are the deserts that we might be familiar with here in the United States, and one famous one is Death Valley. These deserts are on the leeward side of mountain ranges. As moisture-laden air moves from the coast inland and hits a mountain range, the mountains essentially act as a barrier. Clouds will drop their moisture on one side of the mountain range, and by the time the air migrates to the other side, it's no longer moisture-laden, it's very dry. So this is why two sides of a mountain often have very different levels of vegetation. It's because the mountain creates a rain shadow. Now, the fourth type of desert is an interior desert, and this is deserts like the Gobi in Mongolia and China. These deserts exist because they are just too far inland. They are beyond the reaches of the moist air that travels in from the coast, and thus, by the time the air reaches that part of the continent, there's no moisture left. The word interior desert is also interchangeable with inland desert. Now, lastly, we have the deserts of the northern and southern poles, the polar deserts. These include areas of the high Arctic in the north, as well as Antarctica in the south. Despite there being literally millions of gallons of water in these areas, it is all locked up in ice, resulting in very little of it actually being available to the plants and animals that call those parts of the globe home. So, there you have it. Deserts can look like a variety of different things, but the thing that all unites them is that they are all arid, receiving less than 10 inches of precipitation every year. We hope that you enjoyed learning about deserts with us, and make sure to stay tuned for our educational videos that we will be putting up next month. Bye, guys.